Hey, it's Matt from Native Instruments. In this video, we are diving into Moments Vocal Clouds. Vocal Clouds blends human expression with rhythmic complexity in a modern, genre-fluid vocal instrument. From intimate, fragile tones to wide cinematic blooms, it delivers evolving vocal atmospheres that feel alive, emotional, and unmistakably personal for producers and composers. We're working with 4 independent vocal layers, each with its own motion and shaping, plus an optional synth layer to add modern weight and presence. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the layers work, how motion transforms static chords into evolving sounds, and how to quickly generate new ideas while staying in control. Before we get started, let's check out a few of these presets. Alright, let's start with the general overview of the interface. Here we are in Moments Vocal Clouds. You could see the interface overall is just extremely easy to understand, and it has this beautiful display which is really nice to use. Up top we have our header, we have our 4 individual sound modules. Over here we have our global control, and these affect all 4 of your sound modules. Back on the header we have our key and scale, so we can select something like D minor. And what's cool is if you change through different presets, it's going to lock that scale in. If we go to the settings, we have some global settings here for aftertouch. You can disable animations. So to give you an idea, if I hold a key, get these nice animations. If we disable those, you can see they're not showing up. Cut down on some processing power. Below that, we have our control change message for motion. And this is a function within the global control, and we're going to touch on that a bit later. Now that you know the general layout of the plugin, let's start simple and work with one layer. Let's start by checking out the basic control. So this is our sound selection page, and you can see right now we have a preset sound here. To turn off individual modules, you just click on the letter. It turns it on and off, so you can turn those layers off. You get a description of the sound that you're using and which voice range it's in. Over here we have volume control of that layer. I have it set at 0, but default is -6. And if you hold Command on your keyboard, it's going to reset it to that default value. Next to that, we get a little level meter. So you can see the level and solo. Now we can solo that layer. Let's go ahead and turn these other layers off for now. I'm going to click into the sound selection page, and you can see here we have our layer A source. So when selecting an instrument here, you can click multiple or just one. If we click one, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and synth, you can see we have them all selected. We can also remove certain instrument layers and really narrow that down. Then we get to our type. So if we want sustains, swell, short effects, and then it shows you which sounds are available within those attributes. So this is the layer A source. One thing you'll notice is if we look at alto, you can see on layer B, we're actually using the sustain ah, and it tells you it's already on layer B. So you won't be able to select it for this layer. Let's go ahead and click the X and get out of here. And this is our current sound. Next, let's move on to the sound control page. Here you have your basic amp envelope, attack, decay, sustain, release. We can change that attack. Hear it slowly fade in. We can lift that sustain. Now it just holds that note. Next to that, we get to our panning. Again, hit Command and click to reset. We have our tuning all the way down to -36 semitones. You can also shift the entire octave range as well as transpose up or down. In the range mode, you'll notice you have 3 different options. We have real, which is the actual range of this vocal, and you can see down here on this keyboard what the range is. We can't go outside that. We can switch this to extended, which basically resamples the vocal up or down. And then we get to repeated, which is going to keep your real range, but shift it throughout the entire keyboard. So you'll see if I play B flat 6, it's going to be the same as B flat 4 because it's just shifting it all the way up and down. That is our sound page. Next, we get to our arpeggiator tab. To turn it on, you just click right here. You'll notice there's nothing playing. We need to add in some pitches. When you click, you can actually see the levels. Just gonna set some random ones here. And then the velocity of the pitches. So right now we're just gonna have those 4 notes playing. If you turn this all the way up, you're gonna have the root key. Remember that this will stay within the scale that you have selected. So we could just randomize the pitch and the velocities. Let's turn this one all the way up. We can change direction. Back and forth. And random. Never know what you're going to get there. Pretty cool. We have a ton of different presets, which you can randomize here. You can also click through your presets. And if you click on the preset name, you'll get a drop-down menu with all sorts of different presets you can select from. Here we have our trigger type. Right now it's up. So if you're holding multiple keys, it's going to go from the bottom one up. We have down, which will do the opposite. You have random. Up and down. And a chord, which will hold all the notes that you're holding, but arpeggiate them. And then next to that, we have retrigger. With retrigger off, every time you add an additional note, the arp will just continue playing. And I'm adding a note. Hear how it didn't reset from the top. If we turn retrigger on, when I add that other note in, it'll restart the arpeggiator. And I'm going to hit the note. Down here we have our rate, which is how fast the arp goes. You can sync it to the beat or set it to random, slower, or really fast. We have the duration, which controls the gating of the note. So if this is longer, the notes will stretch out. And if it's shorter. And then next to that, we have our steps, which we can control down to 1 step, all the way up to 16. Let's go ahead and turn the arpeggiator off and head over to the effect page. Here you can add effects to each layer. To turn the effects on per layer, you click right here. And within the effect page, you have 2 effects. Right now we're selected on compression. We have the option to choose one of 5 different effects. And within each effect, you have different presets for that effect. So right now this is compression. We can select different presets here and we can turn on the other effect. You can hear that delay. Let's switch this to something like drive. We can change delay to something like modulation. These are our options for modulation. Pretty cool. Or we can just do a nice reverb. Let's turn the decay down a bit. I'm going to turn the ARP on and let's just randomize this. Pretty cool, so that's the effect page. The last page here is our color page. And this is simply an EQ with low, mid, and high adjustments. Hear that clip there? Command to reset, and a filter with different types of filters. Here's a bandpass, parallel, low pass and high pass. Hear that crossover, it's pretty cool. So this is our color page. So those are the 5 pages within each module. And again, you have 4 different modules. Each one gets its own parameters per page. Let's layer in some additional modules and stack some sounds together. So I have all 4 of my layers turned on. Right now, they're just different octaves of the same sustain ah in different voices. I'm actually going to change the bass to a synth. Let's do something like a pad. Let's just solo that for a second. And turn the sustain up. That's nice. I'm going to turn the sustain up on all of these. I'm going to adjust some of the volumes. Maybe select a different synth. That one's cool. All right, now let's turn some effects on. Let's turn that drive back on. Maybe a little reverb. On this one, let's turn on a little modulation. On this effect, a little delay. Turn the mix down. And on this one, I'm just going to do a little reverb. Maybe we'll select something like Tiny Dark Room. That's nice. Cool, so now we have a sound with 4 different layers. And now I'm going to start layering in some arpeggiators to each one. I think I'm going to keep the synth as it is because it's kind of a nice pad. And let's go ahead and turn on some of these arpeggiators. And I'm just going to go minimal. I did like this 8th notes patch. Let's add in another one. And remember, it's going to stay inside the key. So now we have this cool sound here. And you can see that we're triggering multiple arpeggiators with one note, and it's really coming together. And we haven't even gotten to our global control yet. We previously mentioned the global control functions. Let's dig a little deeper and check out each individual parameter. So I have the same sound we just left off on, and I want to start adding in some of these global control features. Before we get to the randomize functions, let's go ahead and start with space. This is our reverb. We can add some reverb here. Really soak it. We can click the settings, and we can actually randomize our types of reverb. You can really hear the cathedral there. You can control the settings of the space, the pre-delay, and the size. Hit Command or set those back to the middle. And then you have your sends per layer. So you can actually, let's say we want only these 2 layers to go to our reverbs, B and C. Or we want just D. So that's your reverb, and then you have control of the overall amount right here. Let's go ahead and turn that off, and let's get to our motion tab. Lots of control features here in the motion tab. We have all of our layers, A, B, C, and D. For right now, let's just go ahead and solo layer A. Motion is a way of modulating your layer. So let's start with our volume. These are all going to be the same between the different layers, although you can have different settings per layer. So right now we are using a sine wave, and we can modulate the volume of layer A. We have beat sync on, so you can see we are synced to different beats. You can also turn this off and control it by hertz. Let's just turn it on. I'm gonna set it to eighth notes, and I'm gonna turn the amount all the way up so you can really hear it. Change waves. Now right now, if we turn the motion down, nothing's gonna happen. Because we're not sending our modulation amount to the motion. So you see these little arrows that appear next to each knob, that controls which direction you're sending the parameter to the macro motion. So if we pull this down like this, you'll notice we're reversed. If I turn this down, see that little macro go the opposite way. Now if we turn this all the way down and we pull this all the way up, watch it follows the same direction. So right now this is 100%. We can tone it down and only go halfway. So you can do this with multiple parameters by allowing your macro to control that function. Let's go ahead and turn volume off. Do the same with tuning. Let's turn rate up. And we can control. And there's that stopping point. And then we also have our filter. So you can actually use the filter within the layer. Let's switch this to a low pass for now. Turn our frequency all the way down. Let's go back to motion. So right now we are controlling the amount of the frequency adjustment with this motion macro. See, if I turn it down, you're not going to hear anything because our filter is all the way down. Now it's not opening all the way. Now it's opening all the way. So pretty cool being able to control each layer's filter individually with the motion. This is a really easy way to set your macros without having to dive deep into a ton of different menus. It's all right here for you on all your different layers. The last one here is our global filter. We can go to our settings. You get your same filter types, cutoff and resonance. So this is just a global filter for all four of your sounds. Turn it on and off right here. Down at the bottom, we have our volume control, master volume output. And now let's talk about the randomize function. Before I click randomize, I'm going to click settings. And you can see within the randomizer settings, you can include which layers you want to randomize, as well as which parameters. You can turn them on and off. You can select multiple. So let's say we just want to randomize layers B and C. Turn off A and D. And the parameters I want to randomize are the sounds and the effects. And let's go ahead and click randomize. You're going to see what changed here. Let's just go to the effects of these two layers. Let's just go ahead and randomize everything. See what happens. Pretty cool randomized feature. I love the fact that you can really get in here and choose specifically what you'd like to randomize instead of just randomizing everything. A lot of control there. And those are the settings of global control. And that's Moments Vocal Clouds. If you've got any questions, drop us a comment below. And if you want some vocal atmospheres that feel human, expressive, and alive, check it out over at nativeinstruments.com.